Very good morning, all the students of 7th standard. We are learning here our history's 8th lesson, an ideal ruler. This lesson we have started, and in this lesson's 2 points mainly we have studied on the page number 33, that is organizational skill. This one point and caring for the real. These 2 points we have studied from 8th lesson. Now the next one point, do you know, is going on the page number 34. Do you know? This one point is going on. If war broke out during the period of sowing, growing, reaping of crops. See, if the battlefield started during the time of sowing, when we sow the seed, when we reap out, growing, when the seeds, the crops, when they are growing there, or when we are reaping it. At the time, if the war started there would be no limit to the loss of farmers. What was the point here? If the war started during this time, then there would be no any limit, restrictions for the loss of farmers there. No limitations, no restrictions for the loss of farmer at the time of sowing, reaping, and growing there. Not only would the movements of army interfere with the works of the sowing, what the army's movement is there, that army not only it interferes to the with the work of the sowing there, but the soldiers would cut off and take away standing crops. But what their soldiers, those were the soldiers, what they would do mostly, they would do that they cut off the standing crop. What if the crop was standing, what if the crop was growing nicely, that crops they cut off there. So the soldiers, they cut off the crops, that taking away standing crops or destroy them, because it will be in this way they can damage to the government, they can damage to the king's economic systems. Yes, they destroy them, and the enemy also cannot hide this. They would rob the houses of farmers. So those were the farmers, they robbed them. By robbing them to the houses of farmers, they took more amount of food grains from them, so some other things they take from them. Shivaji Maharaj had ordered the officers to prohibit his soldiers from such action. Shivaji Maharaj, he gave strict order to his soldiers that his soldiers should be prohibited. His soldiers should be different from enemy's soldiers, that they should not do any kind of such activities that would cause a damage to the peoples, innocent peoples. So he was prohibited his soldiers from such actions there. The letter written by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, there was one letter, one information, one incident is there. The letter written by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in the year 1674 to his military officers is very important. There was a letter written by the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to his military officers. That letter was important. In the 1674, he wrote one letter to his officers, to his soldiers there. It was important. It shows how minutely Shivaji Maharaj brought about the discipline in the army. That letter can give us information how minutely Shivaji Maharaj, he brought the discipline in his army, how strictly for each and every small things he considered, and he look after that we can understand through his letter. If you harass and trouble the subjects belonging to the different caste, what instructions he give to his soldiers? If you harass to the common people, if you trouble them, if you disturb them, to our subjects, those who are belonging from the different caste and different community, by robbing them of their grains, if you harass them, if you rob them, and if you try to take their grains from them, fodder, grass, vegetables, etc., those subjects will leave their houses and migrate elsewhere. Then what they will do? Those subjects, means those people, if you harass them, then what they will do? They will leave this place and they migrate from one place to another place. They will transfer, they will go from one place to another place. They will leave this place and they will go and settle down in another place. So first, our priority, that we should not be harassed, we should not trouble to the innocent common people, we should not harm them, we should not rob on them by our power, by our strength or the might. Many of them would starve to death, and if they migrate from one place to another place, and in the meanwhile, in the time of during the time of migrations, some of them or many of them this die, they pass away, they died due to the starvations also, their death will happen there. It would be as if you are more atrocious than the Mughal, then what will be there? It will be considered, we feel that you are more cruel than the Mughals. Like this, they will feel that there would be great uproar, upset, unhappiness in the mind of the innocent people, in the mind of our subject that. So we should not behave like in this way. So if you do any such activity, then you will be more worse than the enemies, more worse than the Mughal soldiers. Like in this way, he mentioned in his letter there. Now, a policy of tolerance, the next one point of the Shivaji Maharaj. Tolerance policy, religious tolerance. Maharaj had to struggle against the enemies, the Adil Shah, the Mughal, and the Siddhi. Shivaji Maharaj, he had to struggle against the many power, he had to struggle against the Siddhis, he had to struggle against the Mughals, he had to struggle against the Siddhis there. They were Islamic power, and all these powers were Islamic. When Shivaji Maharaj he was struggling against this power, all these enemies or all these powers, they were the Islamic power that. And Shivaji Maharaj, he has to struggle, he has to fight against the Islamic power, those who ruled our territory at the time. While Maharaj struggled against them, he considered the Muslim in the Swaraj as his own subject. But when he was struggling, when he was fighting against this Islamic power at that time, those were the Muslim people, Muslim communities, those who lived in Maharashtra, those who lived in Swaraj. Shivaji Maharaj considered them as they were their own subject, as they were their own people. He never did any kind of partiality, that if someone from the Swaraj, if someone within our Swaraj living, the Islamic persons or Muslim person he was living, he never did any partiality with them, discriminations with them. He always treated them as these Islamic people were also, these Islamic peoples were also the same as our own people, the Swaraj people. There was no any partiality in the Swaraj on the basis of the caste community or on the basis of the religions or the sect. All people were same in the Swaraj. At the time of meetings with Afzal Khan, when Shivaji Maharaj he went to, when there was a meeting was fixed between the Shivaji Maharaj and Afzal Khan, at the time of meeting, Siddhi Ibrahim was a trusted servant in his army. Siddhi Ibrahim, Islamic or the Muslim soldier, trusted soldier. Shivaji Maharaj had more trust on him. He was assisted with the Shivaji Maharaj. He was at the time he was along with the Shivaji Maharaj. Mr. Shivaji Maharaj trusted on everyone there. He never did any partiality on the basis of the caste or the religions there. So Siddhi Ibrahim was a trusted servant in his army. Siddhi Hilal was a Sardar in the army of the Maharaja. Siddhi Hilal, another one Islamic person. He was a Sardar in his army, in the army of the Shivaji Maharaj. Daulat Khan was an important officer in the navy of the Swaraj. Along with that, Daulat Khan, he was also one of the most important servant or the officers in the Shivaji's navy's army there. So those were Muslim people, Islamic people, to them also Shivaji Maharaj trusted on them and appointed on them the highest positions or the places there. So this gives the religious tolerance policy of the Shivaji Maharaj. So today we'll stop here. So when we will come tomorrow, then tomorrow we'll come with the next one point. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.